is 7 a.m. to 10 a.m.
With me, Pakwesi Omare,
Regina Bliss,
Deborah Adoso,
and I am Esinal Fiagbedu. This is Ghana Talks Breakfast Show. This is Ghana Talks Breakfast Show, your morning companion.
Ghana Talks Radio, number one.
It's a beautiful Wednesday morning, and you are welcome to the Ghana Talks Breakfast Show right here on Ghana Talks Radio. Good morning to you. You're welcome to the news review. Right here, we bring you all the latest headlines making waves in the news, from business to politics, from sports to entertainment. We got you covered with the most relevant stories and informed perspectives on issues that matter to you every morning right here on the show. Remember that you're streaming live on Facebook at Ghana Talks Radio, on YouTube at Ghana Talks Radio, and also on X at Ghana Talks Radio. All you need to do is just log on, send in your comments, and get interactive with us on the Ghana Talks Breakfast Show. Good morning once again. Seated right here in the studios with me is Miss Regina Bliss. Miss Debbie Ados will be joining us shortly. Good morning to you, Miss Regina.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm good. Your side?
I'm fine. Hope all is well.
Yeah, all is well.
Yeah. This morning I woke up and then I saw, is it lightning? Yes. Yeah. This morning I woke up and then I saw the weather was cloudy and I saw lightning as well. And I was actually like, oh, at long last today there's going to rain. And I've been waiting for the rain. I know,
right?
The rain never come.
Probably to, if it doesn't rain this morning or in the evening, maybe at dawn.
Yeah. Because actually yesterday the heat there.
It was too much.
The heat.
Too much.
I don't know how you have how the heat is at your end, but however it is.
Yesterday was bad.
Oh, yesterday the heat was on a whole new level. I was like, hey, what is this? Who is on duty? Is it Angel Gabriel?
Yes, and the ACG was on duty.
I know, right? This will actually benefit those using solar a lot. This is actually going to benefit those using solar.
And this is like this period is a market day for the people selling power stations and all that. I actually saw one on someone's status and I was like, hey, ECG ain't no problem and power station I better show them.
Hey.
But they're actually selling it and people are buying it.
Yeah, people are buying it. Well, how is the heat at your end? At this juncture, we are going to be delving into the relevant news stories we have prepared for you and what you actually need to know what is actually happening. So for our first story, this is from the Health Minister. Ghana prioritizing health sovereignty. Akando defends rejection of U.S. health deal. The Minister for Health, Kwabena Minta Akando, says Ghana's decision to reject a sponsored or a proposed health deal with the United States as part of a bigger plan to make the country's healthcare system more independent. Government wants Ghana to rely less on foreign support and be able to fund and manage its own health system. The minister explained that this approach is called health sovereignty, meaning Ghana will take control of its healthcare decisions while still working with international partners, but on its own terms. He made these remarks in Accra during a health strategy program organized by the Ministry of Health and the World Bank. According to him, government is increasing local funding for key areas like vaccines, stressing that protecting public health is a top priority. He also revealed that funds from the National Health Insurance Authority are being reinvested into the health sector to improve hospitals, expand services, and support long-term reforms. In addition, Ghana is gradually reducing its dependency on donor support, including assistance from Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance. The minister emphasized that this does not mean Ghana is cutting ties with international partners, but rather building a system that can stand on its own and survive even if external funding reduces. The goal is to create a stronger, more reliable healthcare system that can serve Ghanaians effectively in the long term. So this is coming from Kwabna Mita Akando, who is explaining as to why we had to reject the U.S. health deal, and he termed it as health sovereignty. And this decision was, for us not to depend on other countries when it comes to health. So we need to be self-sufficient and self-reliant as well. That is why they had to, reject such a deal from US. Ms. Regina?
Yeah. So Ghana wanting to be independent when it comes to our health sector, I would say it's a good thing, and it should really benefit us. And also, we claim that we are independent as a country. I think we are 69, but we are still depending on other people, especially these foreign countries, for certain petty things we can do ourselves. In as much as I feel like if they hadn't asked for certain private data, it wouldn't have dawned on us to be independent when it comes to our health sector. So looking at the health sector, the good side of it, if we do not want to depend on this donor support, first off, Ghana becomes more independent, no pressure from these foreign countries, and also more control over health decisions. And if they exercise it well, good decisions are being taken and effective implementation goes on, why not? It would be very good and beneficial to our country. But we all know that when it comes to a positive something, we have negative attached to it. Are we prepared and ready as a country to replace our own money with the donor support? Because mind you, the amount of money these people support the country with is a huge sum of money. So if they no longer want to depend on these people, automatically that money wouldn't come to you. So now, do you have the financial resources to make sure that at the end of the day, you are doing what you are supposed to do? And also, if not managed very well, I wouldn't say Ghana is known for mismanagement, but in some aspects of our sectors, we are known for that because of lack of supervision and monitoring. So mismanagement goes on in almost all the sectors. Looking at the Public Accounts Committee, they in a way bring to light the misdeeds of some of these officials, and we get to know that, oh, this is what they are doing with the money. So with proper monitoring, evaluation, and supervision, I feel like we being sovereign when it comes to our health sector is a very good thing. But in every positivity, we have a negativity. And we shouldn't only focus on the positive aspect of it. How are we, in as much as we are giving solutions to the positivity, what measures are you also putting in place when it comes to negativity? To make sure that, if the issues arises, this is how we would solve it. So I think it is a very good thing, and we should keep it up. It wouldn't be easy, honestly. It wouldn't be easy. But for the best of the country and for us to be independent, foreign intervention or foreign interferences is becoming too much. Almost in every aspect of our sectors is becoming too much. Akoya say if the foreigners do not put a mouth in it, as excuse me to say, whatever the government is proposing, but the moment that a foreigner intervenes, then they see it to be a hero. They see him to be Jesus of that time. So I think being independent is a very good call. But how effective would it be?
But looking at the money or the help we're actually going to lose, are we prepared to fund it?
That is what I said. Are they prepared to replace it with their own money? Because as it stands, we have a lot of things the government needs to do, from the teacher recruitment, from the nurses, from even some people are still going on strike because of poor conditions of work. Our roads need servicing, hospitals. Just yesterday, they had a demonstration because of a building that has been there for over 2 years and it's still there, fully built. I think the only thing it needs is to for it to be commissioned, but it is still there. Are we ready? Are we prepared?
If it's been there for 2 years, why did the previous administration fail to commission it?
For that, I don't know. But from what I heard, the past president, Rebecca, she built it.
Yes.
So I asked myself, so why didn't you let your husband commission
immediately?
It? Or probably it wasn't ready by then.
Okay.
So we can.
But they said it's been there for 2 years.
For 2 years. So what happened?
I saw that yesterday in the news. Miss Debbie.
So I think Ghana is not in this alone. We are in this with Zambia. And Zambia has equally rejected aid from United States because they also want to be independent. And so we are all in the same soup. But for me, I feel like it's a good call. We cannot be dependent on other countries. So it means the day we don't get the money or the day we don't get the help from them, we cannot do what we are supposed to do as a nation. Now, if you take the health sector, for instance, it's one of the most sensitive area that needs attention. I mean, the health sector is one sector that every second you need to be pumping money into, because you need things like equipment, machines, and all that to keep the hospital running. And so day in, day out, there are new introduction of equipment and machines that the hospital needs to get. The hospital, in a way, so let me put this way, the hospital needs to evolve. So we need to do away with those old machines and all that, and then get the hospital well finished, or get it with the needed equipment it needs to function properly, or as a hospital on its own. And so we being independent means that we are supposed to source our own funding. We don't need to call for any foreign aid to help us. It's a good call. But the problem still lies on whether we can, it will last. It is this current administration that is bringing this on. They are taking an initiative, and that initiative has to do with we're not going in for foreign aid when it has to do with our health. And then when you take a look at Ghana partnering with this Western world for help, it didn't start from let me say, it didn't start from now. It started way back, where the Western world help us with a token, say every yearly basis, there is an amount of money that all countries, not only Ghana, we have other African countries that are being sourced by this Western world, and then they give us money. And so every year, yearly basis or monthly basis, they get the money. You get the money, then maybe after 3 months or so, they also they give out medications to these hospitals for free within these African countries. They give them for free. You don't pay a dime. So we excluding ourselves or disassociating ourselves from this foreign aid means that we need to source for our own funds. And are we ready to do that? That's number one. How long is it going to last? This is because the current administration is bringing this on board and they have less than 1.5 years to leave power. Does that mean that the previous administration that comes on board, are they also going to continue with same, or they are also going in for foreign aid? Because it's very common. We always talk about we being beyond aid, but all the time we go in seeking for arms. And that is why anytime this was Western world, when you pay critical attention, when they bring out medications or anything, they test with you first. Because they know that they give out freely to you, so you don't even question them. They bring the medications and then you take in first. And then they see whether the medication is good enough. Then they can give it out to their people. So for me, if you ask me, it's good. But the question still lies on whether we are ready for it, to source it. Do we have the enough funding? Because I wouldn't be surprised. We just wake up one day and then they'll tell us that we don't have enough money. We need to go back, and that would be a very huge embarrassment and disgrace to us as a country. Or we are going to partner with other private investors who are going to help us. Because if you listen to what the minister said, he said they are going to, for now, so long as we are associating ourselves from them, it means we are our own boss. And so when you want to do something, you will need to listen to our terms and conditions. So in a way, he's trying to say that maybe we are going to bring in private investors, or we are going to partner with private investors who have the money, will bring us our terms and conditions. This is it. This is what you are giving us, and this is what you will be getting from us as a country. So for me, it's good. But the question still lies on whether we are ready.
Are we ready?
We are not ready.
Bank of Ghana's negative equity, not a sign of insolvent. Majority. The majority in Parliament says the financial losses recorded by the Bank of Ghana do not mean the situation is broke. Speaking in Accra, the MP for Amenfi West, Eric Afo, explained that the bank's negative equity is simply an accounting situation, not a sign of collapse. He says the central bank spent a lot of money to stabilize the economy, and that is why its books are showing losses. According to him, central banks are not like regular businesses that aim to make profit. Their main job is to control inflation, stabilize the currency, and keep the financial system working properly. The Bank of Ghana recorded a loss of about 15.63 billion Ghana cedis in 2025, with its negative equity increasing significantly. This has raised concerns among some groups and analysts. However, the majority argues that this is normal during periods when a central bank is working hard to control inflation and stabilize the economy. They also pointed out that other major institutions like the European Central Bank, United States Federal Reserve, and Reserve Bank of Australia have also recorded losses during similar periods of strict economic policies. Mr. Afo says the focus should not only be on the losses, but on the results. He highlighted that inflation has dropped to single digits. The cedi has become more stable. Interest rates are easing. Credit conditions are improving. The economy is gradually recovering. He added that while concerns about transparency and efficiency are valid, the bigger picture shows that the bank's policies are working. The majority believes that the losses are as a result of costs of fixing the economy, not a sign that the Bank of Ghana is in financial trouble. So this is from the majority, that it is normal for any bank, for any central bank to, make losses. And then he urged Ghanaians that we shouldn't be looking at the losses that the Bank of Ghana has made to make it seem as if they are in financial trouble. But you should also look at the results that these losses have actually brought to the country, such as inflation dropping to a single digit, the cedi becoming more stable, and interest rate easing, the credit control are improving, and also the economy is gradually recovering. These are the results he cited that we should pay critical attention to, but not the losses. For the losses, they are bound to happen. Miss Regina?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for my
Submission yesterday.
Oprio. See your producer.
You have to be a proactive host.
I get it. So from my submission yesterday, I still stand with the fact that when it comes to the Bank of Ghana, it's not just any normal commercial bank. It's a central bank, and it is known for stabilizing the economy, making sure that they put risk to make sure that at the end of the day consumers are comfortable, and they are not known for profit making, in as much as they are a business and once in a while you need to make profits, but for them they are not known for that. So I think the fact that they pumped in more money to make their business bloom doesn't mean that automatically you are broke. It's just like a business owner. You have a sum of money, your business is going down. What is the best thing for you to do? Pump in more money. And business comes with its own profits and loss. I believe we all learned that in school.
Yes.
So I don't really get it when people complain when businesses go down. Fine, you can complain, but you should know it has its own profit and loss. And looking at the Bank of Ghana, they are the central bank to Ghana. So who do you expect to stabilize the economy? Who do you expect to make sure that inflation is still on the low? Who do you expect to make sure that consumers are comfortable? We can't do it by ourselves. That is why we have the Bank of Ghana. So they are there to serve its purpose, and they are serving their purpose. So as the majority leader said, or no, majority leader.
It's not majority leader, but
The majority in parliament. Anna?
Yes.
So the majority in parliament, and no. The fact that they lost money doesn't mean they are broke. We should rather come together, both the minority, the majority, together with all the consumers, come together on ways to make sure that we can still stabilize the economy. Mind you, they pumped in money to stabilize the economy. And it's our duty, you and I, both of us, all of us, together, to make sure that that economy is still stabilized. If the economy goes down, they will have to pump in more money again. So if we do not want that, we should go according to, should I say, the expectations, because we are also a part of it when it comes to consume the economy going up, going low, being equal, whatever. We are also a part, so we need to make sure that we all play our part. Bank of Ghana, they've played their part, but Akayin.
Miss Debbie.
Yeah, so I think he mentioned some banks. He said European Central Bank, the United States Federal Reserve, and the Reserve Bank of Australia. So these are all banks that recorded losses during aggressive periods. So it means that we are not the first country that is experiencing this. And he also said that we should pay more attention to the outcome of the action they took than the other side. So the negative side we are trying to point fingers at. So it means that since they said they want to stabilize the cedi, we've enjoyed some benefits of the stabilization of the economy, and that has to do with the cedi, with the dollar being stabilized. At least there are some prices of goods and services that have been reduced. We've also enjoyed not totally free transportation, but at least, I mean, I used to pay 5 cedis, but now I paid like 4 cedis. Although some drivers do not pay heed to the directive, but at least there's been some sort of reduction. So if you look at this whole scenario about the stabilization of the economy with the Bank of Ghana or the central bank running at loss, it all falls down on the benefit that we've gained from this loss that the bank has incurred. So we've gained some sort of benefit. So I feel like we should pay much attention to the benefit than the loss. We are not saying that we are happy with the loss the Bank of Ghana has incurred, but we are saying that they've incurred that debt because they took a risk.
Correct.
And you don't expect results when you are afraid of taking risk. You take risk to get whatever you want, and so that is it. And I feel like we should also pay much attention to the other aspects, and that has to do with there are other things that the government paid much attention to, and then they involved the state money into which they never prepared for. And that has to do with other sectors, the histories of the previous administration. They paid attention to it. Money was being pumped into it, and all that was being done because they want the economy to be stabilized enough. So I feel like in as much as we are pointing fingers at the Bank of Ghana, and especially to the majority because they are the ones in power, and that we are running, the bank has run us loss and blah 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 blah, we should also pay attention to the benefits that we've gained as a country so far after we've experienced this whole thing called stabilization of the economy. Is bound to happen. And so you mentioned it, we are not the only country. We've mentioned a lot of banks there that have also experienced. It becomes a problem when it happens occasionally. Maybe after these 3 months, they've been another news again that Bank of Ghana has run at loss. After 3 months, we are still experiencing that. Will only be a challenge if we continue to experience that. But this is, I think, once in a blue moon. We are not happy. We pray that everything goes on well. But as usual, it's bound to happen because they'll even tell you that as a business person, have this mindset of you running at loss and you making profit. You will not always make profit all the time. Along the way, you run at loss. Along the way, you will gain. So it is 2 in 1.
It's 2 in 1. Right. Rent control targets universities and crack down on exorbitant hostel fees. The Rent Control Department says it has taken action against high hostel fees in universities across Ghana. The government wants to stop landlords and hostel operators from overcharging students and demanding too much advance rent. The move follows complaints from the National Union of Ghana Student NUGS, which petitioned authorities to enforce the Rent Act 1963 at 220. The Rent Commissioner, Frederick Opoku, says inspections will begin immediately, starting with major schools in Accra. And the officials say they will visit these universities to speak directly with students, engage hostel operators, and also confirm whether the complaints are true. The commissioner explained that for now, the issues are still allegations, but if proven, strict actions will be taken, and the possible actions may include summoning hostel operators, applying sanctions, possible persecution under the law. The department also plans to work with the Ministry of Education, led by Haruna Idrisu, to find long-term solutions. Officials are reminding landlords that the law does not allow them to charge excessive advance rent. Anyone who breaks the rules could face legal consequences. Beyond enforcement, the government is also planning to introduce standard pricing guidelines for hostels, improve tenancy agreements, set up a complaint system for students, and organize national discussions on student housing. The crackdown is aimed at protecting students from unfair rent practices and making accommodation around universities more affordable and regulated. You and I could bear to the fact that hostel fees right here in Ghana, and then especially in some specific universities, are even more than what you even pay in your house. So NUGS have actually petition rent control to take action, like do something. We have a law. Why is it that our law is not working? So this is it. Miss Debbie.
It's a good call, but Most of these hostels are not even owned by the school, the universities. They are being owned by outsiders, and then the universities need to collaborate. Most of these universities collaborate with people outside to use their apartments or whatever it is for hostels. So you see, it's a good call, but I don't see how will I even put this? I don't see this working out.
You don't see it?
No, I don't see it working out. Even rent controls are not even to put our landlords and our landladies in the right path, and our hostel people. I'm going to see baby, but it's a good call, because I've been in the hostel throughout, and so I know what it feels like when you have to pay your hostel fee. And then sometimes the hostel fee is even more than what you pay in a semester, because you pay for hostel fee. Like, the bills is not part of the fee, so if you're saying for a semester, it comes with an amount you pay, and then aside that, you have to pay for your own utility bills. That has to do with the light bill, the water bill. That's be refuse require, but sometimes you come there or be a but they are taking it. This light bill I'm talking about every month,
water bill
every month. But I feel like they should have added everything together with the hostel fee, so when you pay, you know that in a semester you're not going to pay much more than what you are paying for. But in most of these hostels, it's not like that. You only pay for the hostel fee for that semester, and then you have to, every month you're supposed to be paying for your water bill, every month you're paying for boiler bill. Every students here, seriously, it's not easy. And if you want to add this, all of this together with the fees and everything, bro, if your father wants to save that money, he will be a billionaire, and I'm telling you the fact. And so if only this is going to work out, I'll be very glad. And this can only work out if the school, the institution, builds is in charge of that hostel themselves. As I said, most of the hostels for my school, the hostel that is attached to my school was not built by my school. It was in collaboration with these people in a year apartment, the less and the idea. So you pay per semester. That is how it is. But in others, I don't know for other schools, but there are some schools that the hostel is being owned by the institution. But 99% of those hostels are not owned by institutions, and even the ones that are owned by the university are not much, or they are not more. Let me put it that way. The school hostel is like one flat pet, and immediately it's full. The rest of the students are being forced to rent outside, and then the person is at Makati, or the person is at Kaswa, and the person is schooling at, say, Legon. So you see, in and out, transportation. So most of these universities do not have this. They don't own these hostels, and that was why some time ago I was happy when Mahama traveled to, I think, one of this country. They went in agreements, and then they gave the president money to extend the hostel of University of Ghana, Legon, to build it so that most of the students can utilize the hostels. So this can only work if the hostel is being owned by the university themselves. If it is not owned by them, and it is a collabo between the university and some estate developer, it will not work, because you have to bring your conditions on board. The estate developer or whoever is in charge of that particular flat also bring their conditions on board. So at the end of the day, they are even taking larger portion of the share than the school themselves. But if it is owned by the school, it makes it so easy. So this can only happen if these institutions are being owned by the schools. If not, I'm telling you, that rent control themselves, they have question mark. It wouldn't get anywhere. But trust me, if this should work, it will help. It will really help. For me, I'll be happy if this is an institution. You have hostels. I mean, this university should have about 100 plus of hostels. Students should not be struggling to find accommodation. If we take University of Ghana, for instance, look at the number of people that are being enrolled in that school every year. Each year the population increases, so that is how you are supposed to also expand. I mean, there's hostel facilities for these students, but they are only interested in spending the money. Now, if you're a public accounts committee, there be some question to me, so for me, I will be happy if it worked out. but it's going to be very, very difficult.
Right. Miss Regina, briefly.
So as she said, she would be very happy. I would be very happy. You'd be very happy if they are able to work it out, because as a student you should have sound mind to educate yourself, to learn. But at the end of the day, you'll be thinking, where am I going to get this hostel fee? I thought I'm meeting hostel fees now. I'll be like, hey.
You'll be sleeping and they'll come and be knocking on your door.
It's stressful.
I
won't lie to you.
Sometimes 6,000, me say na a dime crash a year. If anything, chamber and hall crown boy, you're saying.
How much is even the fees?
Me see, you're not even sharing the space alone. You are sharing the space
like overweight 5 people.
And you are paying that exorbitant.
You don't even have privacy. So they should do something about it. So the be students and the parents
Thank you so much. So Red Control, over to you. Do something about the issue of hostel. Let's see, maybe it could change. There's going to be a difference this time around. Thank you so much for joining us on the news review. Up next, we have Today in History with Miss Regina Bless.
Bringing you today in history on this day 2013, Ohio kidnapped victims rescued after years in captivity. 3 women, Amanda Berry, Gina DeJesus, and Michela Knight, were rescued from a Cleveland, Ohio home where they had been held captive for roughly a decade. The women, abducted between 2002 and 2004 by Ariel Castro, were discovered after Berry escaped and alerted neighbors. 1994, Paula Jones, a former Arkansas state employee, filed a sexual harassment lawsuit against sitting U.S. President Bill Clinton, alleging he made unwanted sexual advances in a hotel room on May 8, 1991. While he was governor, the lawsuit alleged that Clinton, with the assistance of a state trooper, brought her to a hotel room and exposed himself. 1955, the Federal Republic of Germany, West Germany, officially joined NATO as its 15th member, marking a crucial step in its reintegration into the Western Bloc. This move prompted the Soviet Union to create the Warsaw Pact just days later. To some few global observances. International No Diet Day. It is a global campaign aimed at promoting body acceptance, celebrating body diversity, and challenging the harmful effect of diet culture. It encourages a break from dieting, promoting a healthier relationship with food and weight. So today is a day for you to eat whatever you can. National Anxiety Disorder Screening Day. To promote awareness, reduce stigma, and encourage public screenings for anxiety disorders. It provides resources for identifying symptoms and connecting individuals with mental health professionals. Lastly, Occupational Safety and Health Professionals Day. It is observed annually of the first full week of May to honor the experts who prevent workplace injuries and hazards. In 2026, this day is celebrated on this day, recognizing the crucial role of safety specialists during Nurses Week. And that's all for today on Today in History and some global observances, live on GhanaTalks Breakfast Show.
Thank you so much, Miss Regina Bless, for Today in History and some observances of the day. Up next, we have Debbie's Girl.
Welcome to Debbie's Grill, where we talk about issues that matter to the state, void of politics, fear of favor. private legal practitioner Martin Kpebu has predicted that a criminal case against the former chief executive of the National Food and Buffer Stock Company, Hanan Abdul Wahab, and his wife, Faiza Seidu Wuni, is set to expand significantly following a dramatic day of legal maneuvering. Speaking in an interview after Abdul Wahab and his wife Faiza were rearrested by operatives of the Economic and Organized Crime Office, Mr. Kpebu suggested that the Attorney General's decision to discontinue the initial trial was a strategic move necessitated by the discovery of high-value evidence. The couple had been standing trial over their alleged involvement in a 78 million loss to the state. However, on Tuesday, Deputy Attorney General Dr. Justice Swimsa informed the High Court that the state was withdrawing all charges due to the emergence of fresh evidence. Reacting to the development, Mr. Kpebu noted that while the restart is a sobering reminder of the scale of alleged corruption, it signals a more robust effort to recover stolen assets. Mr. Kpebu emphasized that the Attorney General, Dr. Dominic Ayenen, and his deputy are keenly aware of the intense public scrutiny surrounding the case. He argued that the prosecution would not have taken the risky step of cancelling the Zixin trial unless the new evidence was substantial enough to warrant a fresh start. The legal practitioner expressed confidence that the upcoming trial will be bigger in nature, suggesting that the authorities have likely stumbled upon a much larger web of financial irregularities than previously known. The rearrest has sparked intense debate over the procedural implications of the Attorney General's action. Earlier in the day, Justice Achibonga had discharged the accused persons after the state filed a nolle prosequi. The subsequent swoop by Iyoko as the couple left the court premises indicate that the state intends to rearraign them on new, possibly more severe charges. As the legal community and the general public await the filing of the fresh docket, Mr. Kpebu urged Ghanaians to remain patient. So, Ajay, interesting days ahead though. So the Attorney General has dropped charges against Mr. Wahab and his wife, Seidu Faiza Wuni. So Mr. Wahab is the former CEO for the National Food and Buffer Stock Company. He was in charge of, supplying goods to our schools and all that. And then we realized that he has diverted 78 million. And that 78 million was diverted to ghost suppliers that does not exist, ghost company that do not even exist, to supply goods to the schools. And the more reason why his wife is being mentioned in this was because his wife was also being named as a company who supply goods to the schools. And so part of the money was being diverted into the account of the wife, all in the name of she handling a company that supply goods to the schools. So along the way, we realized that 78 million was being disbursed into these ghost names. And so this man was being taken on, and investigations went on, and then he was being granted bail. But just yesterday, the Attorney General dropped the case, and then the case is about to be restarted again. Now, if you take it from the law perspective, if an issue is being dropped or an issue is being discontinued, it totally doesn't mean that the issue has come to an end. It means there's not been enough evidence to continue the case, and so the case needs to be dropped. Then unless the case has been totally or permanently discontinued, and that is when we know that this case will not be taken on again. But in this case, the issue with regards to Wahab and his wife was not totally or permanently, let me use the word permanently, was not permanently dissolved. And so now there's been a fresh start of the whole case, which totally means that there's been a fresh evidence, of they've gathered enough evidence, and this evidence requires the whole process being restart. So the money that he has paid and all that, definitely I'm going to hire a lawyer and all that. So it means it has been in a waste. You will need to get another lawyer. You will need to pay them again, and this in a way will also be not per se huge loss to the state, because the state will also need to pump in some money, because first of all, we've wasted our time on a previous one, and so right now it has to require a new time and a new energy and a new money, because people being picked from Iyoko to investigate issues like this, corrupt related issues, needs to be paid. I mean, they'll be paid by the state. You don't just ask somebody to investigate issues and then it ends the no. So it means that the investigation they've done before and the money they've taken is now that the case will be restarted or will have to be started again. Then it means that, or we have to start the whole issue. Yes, we have to start the whole process again. It means that these people will need to be paid again. And so and say we are finding all possible means to fight against corruption. And this issue, when it popped up, was one of the issue, aside the ghost names, the NSS scandal and all that was really trending, and people were keenly following this issue. So they granted this man a bill. Now the Attorney General bringing this on, as I said earlier on, means that there's been a fresh evidence, and this evidence required the whole process to be started again. Now my issue is, we are now coming to start this whole process. Do we really have, do we see that positive result coming up, that the state is going to win against these people? Because this is the state versus Wahab and his wife. The money that is being embezzled is not for the Attorney General. The money is for the state. The money is for you and I. And so it is the state versus Wahab and his wife. My question is, do we see the government winning this case, or Wahab will win over the government, or win over the state? Because we've seen instances where people embezzle from the state huge sum of money, and at the end of the day, they win the case against the state. And most often, these cases do not even get anywhere. They keep telling you to go and come, back and forth, till the issue dies out. Now, when this issue pop out, we are all surprised, because for me, I never thought this issue will be re-raised again. Because in this country, when you are being granted bail, it comes with a whole lot of things that goes through your mind. But I still hear people saying that, oh, we should give them the benefit of the doubt. Since the issue is restarting, then it means that there will be a positive outcome, whether there will be a positive outcome or not. So this whole issue is being done. We don't even know whether there will be a positive outcome from this. But as I said, our main motive is to fight corruption. Because tell me why you will divest 78 million into accounts of ghost suppliers that do not exist. Now I want to understand why, if a politician or an individual is being given a position by the government, you end up stealing from the state. You end up taking money that do not belong to you. No wonder during their term there were instances where there were shortages of food and all that in the schools. This is because this person who was supposed to supply these foods were diverting money. So how do we expect the schools to get the needed food they need to, grow in stature, and then feel this comfort both in mind, soul, and in body to study. 78 million we are talking about here is huge. Whether it's small or not, it's still huge because it's the state money, it's the taxpayers' money. This money can be used in other developmental projects to benefit you and I. And so we cannot just allow it to slide just like that. No. See, it will be a very huge disappointment if after this whole, because they are coming to restart the process, it means that the time, the energy, the money that was being pumped into the starting of the first case, the previous case has amounted to nothing. Let me put it that way. And so they will need to start it all over again. So it will be a very huge, debt, one, to the state, and a very huge disappointment to we as the citizens of this country, if at the end of this whole thing, this back and forth, and this man and his wife are allowed to go scot-free because they are not being found guilty or they are not at fault. That would be a very huge disappointment. Because you can't tell me that 78 million is missing just like that. No. And these are clear evidence that shows that the money was being, disbursed into account of companies that claim to be suppliers, which some of them are not suppliers. Some of these companies do not even exist. To the extent that the wife of the same former CEO of NAFCO was also receiving money. It should tell you that these people, they don't steal our money and spend it alone. They spend the money with their families whilst you struggle. So if this money is not being retrieved, if these people are not being made to face penalties of their own action, then we are joking when it comes to corruption. Because the state is taking this action because they want to fight against corruption. So what becomes of it if at the end of the day, if after stressing, if after paying, or let me say wasting state funds, and then no one is arrested, the money is not retrieved? What is the essence? It means we've wasted our time, we've wasted energy, we've wasted resources. We hope and we pray that after the second case that the Attorney General will be looking into, it will bear positive results. If they are found guilty, they are going to face the laws and the money will be retrieved. But if that does not happen, then I think we should forget about fighting corruption. Thank you for making time with me on Debbie's Grill.
Thank you so much, Miss Debbie, for that grill. Thank you too for joining us on the first segment of the GhanaTalks Breakfast Show. We'll be going for the news shortly, and right after the news, we'll be back. Stick and stay with us.
Are you ready to amplify your business or brand's reach and make a meaningful impact in Ghana and beyond? Partner with GhanaTalks Radio today to connect with a diverse audience across Ghana and beyond. Elevate your brand through on-air promotions and social media. Boost your brand during prime time. With GhanaTalks Radio, you can extend your reach across digital platforms. GhanaTalks Radio is not just a station, it is a community hub where your brand becomes part of the conversation. Join us in fostering connections, celebrating culture, and making a lasting impression. For customized sponsorship packages and enquiries, email contact@GhanaTalksRadio.com or call +233 202 544614. GhanaTalks Radio, giving the youth a voice.
What do you want for breakfast? How do you want your breakfast?
English breakfast, French fries.
Koko nikosi, alo komi kesheto.
Wache.
Well, Gobe is the real deal.
Join us on GhanaTalks Radio. Let's serve you a buffet of breakfast.
From news headlines review, current affairs to social issues.
Entertainment, sports, and all the trending stories live on our mobile app and across all socials from Monday to Friday 7 a.m. to 10 a.m.
With me, Pakwesi Omare,
Regina Bless,
Deborah Adoso,
and I am Esinal Fiagbedu. This is GhanaTalks Breakfast Show.
We bring you local news, business news, international, sports, and entertainment news. Right here on GTR.
It's 8 o'clock. Welcome to the morning news update on Ghana Talks Radio, live inside our studios and across all social media platforms. Coming up, Public Account Committee refers 3 Central Region senior high schools to Attorney General over procurement violations. Ghana School Feeding Program adopt digital system to strengthen meal tracking. Ministry of Education unveils post-BEC school placement system, cautioning against unauthorized senior high school admissions. Also coming up in the news, national security caution traditional leaders in the eastern region over disregard for court orders by traditional authorities. In politics, the New Patriotic Party aspirants demand action from party leadership over vetting irregularities. These and many more coming up your way shortly. The Public Accounts Committee has referred 3 senior high schools in the Central Region to the Attorney General's Department for possible prosecution following procurement irregularities flagged in the 2024 Auditor General's report. Ranking Member Samuel Tamil said the breaches involved contract awarded without open competition. He singled out Eguafo Senior High School, where goods valued at 122 were purchased from 19 different vendors outside standard procurement procedures. The committee says the referrals form part of effort to enforce accountability in the use of public funds at the secondary education level.
Uncompetitive procurement. There are so many issues with procurement, and I've referred 3 institutions. You see, what you are supposed to do is before you get into any kind of procurement, you are supposed to get 3 bids, and then you pick the best. But most of them, they just pick just one. They take one bid, and then they work with it. In fact, in one of the schools, when they went to a purveyor to go and get invoices, the purveyor didn't want to give it to them because they already knew they were going to pick somebody else. They just want his receipts just to put it out there for the auditors. And that's not what the law says. So if you're working in procurement, you need to make sure that you follow the rules. Yes.
The Ghana School Feeding Program is transitioning to a digital system aimed at strengthening efficiency and transparency in meal delivery across schools. The National Coordinator, Hajia Fati, announced the move during a training session in Ebri. According to her, the digitization effort is expected to reduce delays, curb discrepancies in food supply, and provide accurate records for decision making.
Well, I would say I'm overwhelmed because this is something that will really help us enhance the digital data collection that we are already using. Whatever we are using today, this one is an improved version of that. This one, we are able to use this if properly taken through, that is the processes. We'll be able to monitor the meals that are served to the children, because we expect that the caterers go by the menu that is given to them to go by. If today is rice, let it be rice. If tomorrow is rice and beans, let it be rice and beans. If it is banku and soup, let it be that. We want to be able to monitor all this. So it's a management tool, and it's a platform that can give us that space to be able to monitor from afar. Once we are here and the
Minister of Education Haruna Idrisu has announced a new post-BEC school selection framework aimed at streamlining placement into senior high schools. Speaking on the development, he cautioned parents guidance and school officials against circumventing the official process through illegal admissions. In his view, such actions undermine fairness and transparency in the system.
To know, I was struggling with what to do with CSPS, how to improve computerized placement system. I had to rely on him and rely on the headmaster of Infancy School to give me a roadmap as to how we can improve the computerized placement system. Thankfully, part of your recommendations would implement after BEC is to ensure that the students determine their choice of school after their examination results are released. And accordingly, any child who is not of age and have not completed the mandatory 9-year training will be penalized for writing the exams and jumping the guns. We'll also review with a strong technical committee to supervise it. But in all this, Reverend captured it, we need expanded infrastructure so that tomorrow, when I'm coming to present, but headmaster, you have a challenge. Once you have this dormitory 600, I expect your admission to double by 1,000 this year for our purposes. Plus or minus 600, you will now have a dormitory to deal with the congestion. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, you may now join me now momentarily.
The National Security Council Secretariat has voiced alarm over the consistent failure of some traditional leaders in the Eastern region to comply with court judgment and security instructions. According to the Eastern Regional Security Liaison Officer, Francis Anodompre, the trend is eroding public order. He stressed that such conduct is disrupting community stability and economic activity. He also called on traditional authorities to uphold court decisions and cooperate with state institutions to maintain calm and avoid further conflict.
Such that now when DISEC takes a decision, chieftaincy institutions Nanano will not respect decision of DISEC. When MUSEC take a decision, I believe MUSEC, DISEC, all these are when you go to the districts, DISEC is the highest decision-making body when it comes to security, headed by the DC in that particular district. MUSEC is the highest security decision-making body when it comes to municipality, headed by the municipal chief executive. Then we come to the RESEC, Regional Security Council, headed by the regional minister. So if for security, our interest is not to interfere with the processes of selecting, installing, confirming whoever becomes a chief, that is not our interest. We will not interfere. But when those processes becomes a threat to the peace and security of the area, then the security has to step in to make sure that processes, somebody's interest, somebody's eagerness to become a chief does not threaten the peace of the area or the region, and to the larger extent the states. But what do you see today? When MUSEC take decision, chiefs will not respect it. When MUSEC take decision, chiefs will not respect it. When it be to the extent of when RESEC take decision, some chiefs will defer those decisions, go contrary to it, do whatever they want to do against the security of the region.
Aggrieved aspirants of the New Patriotic Party are calling on the party's leadership to urgently address what they described as unfair vetting process, cautioning that the situation could erode grassroots support and trigger a protest. The aspirants said a disputed exercise undermines internal democracy and risks alienating members ahead of key party activities. They have warned of a planned demonstration if immediate steps are not taken to resolve the concerns. However, party officials have yet to respond publicly to their demands.
Me kwayo mo se connector na nfa me na nka ho afi so e wo se nipa miansa na ka sign bi ba ko le sign ye enti masam no masuma bai party mfie du me bom mo de ke ka do mu nyina ba mu ya kwani ya mai de obi enu eni amansi amai rayo se usu fan club kwani ya me na bigirama ya te ye raf opopua bi sai Bibi fan club ni nyina me ka ho masum party ni mfie
adabnada na yefie from to one my true plan any 2 weeks the papa to be some farm foreman but to Canada one man before Canada I feel Mr. Kwati fed wakati business na frank ko papa me ni so nyanso man me from here dey boy ya from na ni atwa music tenses and the dey ya afedi bebe to dey ya wo mo si o mai do ye dey from yen kam yan qualify and every day Yan Thomas Uncle from here, the woman said the party no. If it's a party, a party, they go party no. And Miss MPP, penny for written in the chasse, or Muncho when you have a pie. Rekaka and the Muntua. If you have the Cosati, demonstrating this two program when Yas and Papa.
Young delegates, and I'm so, and I one nice day. It's not for me for mommy. Let me find coffee and I meant to go as a friend and my friend because we are educated. I can feel it myself. You know, for my memory. Now, if I'm from a coffee and I'm feeling, oh, madam, and they are last day until them will be a best and I did teach you to buy a best teacher in form, man, you won't, man, into what did teach anybody who say I'm kind in action. Yes, I was telling Pammy, I guarantee. I heard the man come once a month because I want more kayak come when you pack. You better guarantee I won't get trouble.
The Ministry of Labour has entered into partnership with Instead to address youth unemployment through hands-on skill training and employment initiatives. The collaboration is expected to focus on vocational and technical programs designed to match young people with market-ready skills and expand access to job opportunities across key sectors in the country.
The Skills Firm is a practical employment initiative where we want to train and skill youth in Ghana on a campus, on a physical campus that we're going to build. Right now we have to use the momentum for the economy of Ghana. So we have seen in 24 the GDP was at 4.9 and it was an increase of 5% points to 25. So the economy is growing, but what is lacking is the unemployment youth rate. So this is increasing. If you look at the numbers from last year, it's slightly increasing to over 32%, and that is a gap. And Skills Firm is closing that gap by training young, motivated Ghanaian on practical jobs that they go through a program of 9 months, and after that they learn the practical skill to immediately access and enter the job market. With that, we're going to attract external investors, companies, to make it more attractive to invest in Ghana because we have the talented people. Well, we are like a foundation, right? So we're going to support because we have the practical knowledge already gathered from Europe and especially in Switzerland where we have set up this. We had as well this problem before. So what's in for us, of course, it is the investors, right? If the economy is growing, and it's all in alignment with 24 hours economy of Ghana, everyone is benefiting, right? So the industry is growing, it's more attractive for investors to come to Ghana because Ghana has a lot of great goods to export, right? But the import rate is too high today. So having investors coming into our country in Ghana, having this labeled skilled people, then we can grow together the economy. Not only in Ghana, it goes beyond Ghana, but it affects the whole continent of Africa in the end.
In business, Casapreco Public Limited Company, the Ghanaian beverage manufacturer behind the iconic Halomo Bitters brand, has launched an initial public offering of up to 583,333,333 ordinary shares at an offer price of 1.2 per share, in a move that will see the company list on the main market of Ghana Stock Exchange. The IPO, which commences on May 4th and closes on June 1st, aims to raise up to 700 Ghana cedis. The minimum subscription threshold has been set at 350 million Ghana cedis. The offer is not underwritten, leaving the company to shoulder shortfalls through bank loans issuance under its existing board program. Proceeds from the offer will be directed entirely towards the construction of a new bottled water and carbonated soft drinks production facility at Adesu in the Eastern region. According to the prospect dated April 30th, roughly 96% of the net proceeds, amounting to 672.5 million Ghana cedis, have been earmarked for the new factory, with the remaining 3.94% covering the cost of the initial public offering, including advisory fees, regulatory charges, and capital duty. The offer comes at a time of strong operational momentum for Casapreco. In the first quarter ended 31st March, the company delivered a 55% jump in profit to 73 million, driven by a sharp 43% reduction in finance costs. Revenue for the quarter edged up to 853.2 million Ghana cedis from 821.9 million Ghana cedis a year earlier, reflecting a resilient demand across its spirit, non-alcoholic drinks and export portfolios. Gross profit rose to 221.4 million Ghana cedis, while operating profit climbed to 124.7 million Ghana cedis. The company's rapid growth over the past years provide the backdrop for the public offer. Revenue expanded at a compound annual growth of 40% between 2020 and 2025, rising from 660 million Ghana cedis to 3.5 billion Ghana cedis. Profit for 2025 surged to 341.8 million Ghana cedis, a dramatic recovery from the loss posted in 2022. Casapreco now operates production facilities in Accra and Kumasi, with capacity to package over 150,000 bottles per hour across glass and PET lines. The offer price of 1.2 Ghana cedis per share implies a price earning multiple of 11.3 times based on forecast 2026 earnings, and an enterprise value to earning before interest, taxes, depreciation and amortization multiple of 5.4 times. This multiple sits below the peer average of 13.2 times for earning to price and 7.6 times for enterprise value before interest, taxes, depreciation and amortization across comparable listed beverage, including Guinness Ghana breweries, East African breweries and Nigerian breweries. The initial public offering marks a significant transition for a company that began as a private limited liability company in 1987 under the name Kwab Gooding Company Limited. It converted to a public company in June 2023 and changed its name to Casapreco Public Company Limited in March 2024. The company also established a note program on the Ghana fixed income market in February 2024, raising 351 billion Ghana cedis through 2 series of corporate bonds that mature in 2027 and 2028. Following the initial public offering, the offer shares will rank equally with existing shares in all respects, including the right to dividends, voting at general meetings, and participation in any surplus asset distribution upon winding up. Investors will need to take note of the company's dividend restrictions. To sports, an Everton supporter has been arrested after alleged racist abuse was directed at Manchester City's Antoine Semenyo during Monday's draw at Hill-Dixon Stadium. A 71-year-old man has been bailed by the Merseyside police after being arrested on suspicion of a racially aggravated public order offence, which was reported by both stewards and fans. City issued a statement condemning the alleged abuse of Semenyo and offering their support to both the winger and defender, who was targeted on social media after his mistake led to Everton's first goal scored by Barry. Everton released a statement of their own, underlining the opposition to racism and other forms of discrimination. In showbiz, following global trend of artists finding fulfillment in headlining their own concert at Sports Stadium, Veteran hip life musician Ochame Kwame disclosed his dislike in filling stadiums with musical concerts. The veteran Ghanaian artist noted that while large audiences are impressive, they are not the measure of success he values at this stage of his career. On global update, the leader of Mali's military government, Assimi Goïta, has taken over as the first minister after a military officer who previously felt the role was killed in a coordinated attack on April 25th by Al-Qaeda-linked militants and Tuareg separatists, state television reported on Monday. Mali's Army Chief of Staff, General Omar Diarra, who served as a minister delegate for defense, said the report, which described the move as a strategic decision coming in a security contest, remains sensitive. The simultaneous attacks beginning on the morning of April 25th showed how fighters from different groups with different goals were able to strike at the heart of the West African country's military government, which took power after coups in 2020 and 2021. Sadio Kamara, a former defense minister who was instrumental in forging stronger ties with Russia, was killed when a car laden with explosive driven by suicidal attacker drove into his residence, the government has previously said. The attack set off fighting across Mali's vast desert north, raising the prospect of significant gains by armed groups that have shown an increasing willingness to strike neighboring countries. Analysts says could eventually set their sight further afield. Malian authorities are investigating soldiers suspected of involvement in the attacks, judicial officials said on Friday. And that's it on the morning news update. Thank you so much for tuning in to GhanaTalks Radio. Do all to log on to all streaming platforms at GhanaTalks Radio for more news stories. I am Deborah, so do have a good morning.
Are you ready to amplify your business or brand's reach and make a meaningful impact in Ghana and beyond? Partner with GhanaTalks Radio today to connect with a diverse audience across Ghana and beyond. Elevate your brand through on-air promotions and social media. Boost your brand during prime time. With Ghana Talks Radio, you can extend your reach across digital platforms. Ghana Talks Radio is not just a station, it's just a community hub where your brand becomes part of the conversation. Join us in fostering connections, celebrating culture, and making a lasting impression. For customized sponsorship packages and enquiries, email contact@GhanaTalksRadio.com or call +233 202 544614. Ghana Talks Radio, giving the youth a voice.
What do you want for breakfast? How do you want your breakfast?
English breakfast, French fries.
Koko Nikosi, alo komi kesheto.
Wache.
Well, Gobe is the real deal.
Join us on Ghana Talks Radio. Let's serve you a buffet of breakfast.
From news headlines review, current affairs to social issues.
Entertainment, sports, and all the trending stories live on our mobile app and across all socials from Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m.
With me, Pakwesi Omare.
Regina Bless.
Deborah Adoso.
And I am Esinal Fiagbedu. This is Ghana Talks Breakfast Show.
Ghana Talks Radio.
This is Ghana Talks Breakfast Show, your morning companion. Good morning to you once again, and you are welcome to the Ghana Talks Breakfast Show right here on Ghana Talks Radio. This is the second segment of the Ghana Talks Breakfast Show. You are welcome to the second segment of the Ghana Talks Breakfast Show. And as you know it, we come along with knowledgeable guests who are going to be delving into the issue. We are going to be speaking on topical issues right here on the show. Issues that matter to you every morning right here on the Ghana Talks Breakfast Show. This is the only online radio station you can carry along wherever you go. Remember that you are streaming live on Facebook at Ghana Talks Radio, on YouTube at Ghana Talks Radio, and also on X at Ghana Talks Radio. All you need to do is log on, send in your comments, and get interactive with us on the Ghana Talks Breakfast Show. Right. Sitting right there in the studios with me is a new face, and I just can't wait to delve into the issues with him. His name is Collins Asante, who is the NPP communications team member. I mean, he's wearing their colors, and you can see that he's actually up for the tax and up for business as well. Good morning to you, Mr. Asante.
Good morning, my lady.
Hope all is well.
This is GhanaTalks Radio, the best station rocking the nation.
We thank God. It's your first time here?
Yes.
Was it difficult getting to this place?
Not really. No. I was missing my way, but I got here.
You got here. We thank God. Right. You're already here. What is happening in the NPP? How is the party treating you so far?
Well, I mean, as you all know, we just had our presidential primaries, and so that's the first phase of our restructuring program, and we have the second phase coming up, which is the polling station elections, the regional and the national elections. So currently, that's what we are working on. Apart from that, I think everything is okay in the party.
Yes. Everything is okay.
Yes.
Your party decided to choose the top to bottom approach. So now you are now going to elect the small ones. Hierarchy, the individuals. Well, we wish you well. Thank you. Hopefully you are hoping to come into power in 2028.
Inshallah, sure.
Inshallah, boot for boot. Right. You actually happen to be a university student.
Yes.
And so I believe you'll be able to
GhanaTalks Radio,
share your thoughts and your opinion on this particular issue. So rent control, this is actually from rent control, and they are targeting universities in crackdown on exorbitant hostel fees. So the rent control department says it is taking action against high hostel fees in universities across Ghana, and the government wants to stop landlords and hostel operators from overcharging students and demanding too much advance rent. And the move follows complaints from the National Union of Ghana Students, that is NUGS, which petitioned authorities to enforce the Rent Act 1963 at 220. And the Rent Commissioner Franklin Opoku says inspections will begin immediately, starting with major schools in Accra, such as the University of Ghana, UPSA, and the rest. And they say that they will visit this campus to speak directly to the students and engage with hostel operators, and to also confirm whether the complaints are actually true, whether what they are actually saying that the hostel fees are too much is actually true. And afterwards, they are going to take some actions, and these are some of the actions. They will summon the hostel operators and question them as to why students are paying such a huge amount of money, and also apply sanctions and also possible prosecution under the law. Obviously, we have a law of which I don't know why it's not being enforced. And the department also plans to work with the Ministry of Education, which is led by Haruna Idrisu, to find long-term solutions. They are also reminding landlords that the law does not allow them to charge excessive advance rent. Anyone who breaks the rules could face legal consequences. And beyond enforcement, the government is also planning to introduce a standard pricing guidelines for hostels, improve tenancy agreements, and set up a complaint system for students, and organize national discussions on student housing. So this is it.
Okay.
I don't know if you are equally also paying hostel fees.
Well, I now go from house to school.
You go for, but why do you leave the hostel? Is it because of the fees?
No, it was part, but I also had some personal issues as well. But now that is dealt with. I think from next semester onwards, I'm considering going to the hostel.
Going back to the hostel.
Yes. But this whole thing by the rent control trying to do this, I think it's a laudable idea, because for a very long time, students have been faced with the burden of thinking about hostel fees and other stuff, because learning alone, being in campus alone, is not easy. So having that hostel, like having that where you put your head at, and all those burdens adding up to your academic, it stresses you a lot. So I think it's a laudable idea. I think it's the whole rent system in Ghana that needs to be looked at, not only hostel, the whole renting system in Ghana. Because even people who are working and are paid monthly are even struggling to pay their rent, let alone students. So I think the whole renting system in Ghana needs to be looked at, not just the universities, but the universities must be looked at first, because we are students, and we are burdened with a lot. You have assignments and other stuff, and now you have to think about how you are going to afford accommodation. So I think the whole system needs to be looked at. I think this thing was in Parliament, but for some reason I don't know why it ceased to be talked about. So I think it's a laudable idea, and I commend them for that. And about them going to the hostels or schools to check whether this is true, I think I'll save them the time and tell them it is actually true.
It's actually true.
Yeah, that's the burden we are facing now. So they stepping in will go a long way to help us. Yeah, so it's something I clap for them for. It's a laudable idea.
Would you say that it's because these schools do not have these schools are actually, most of them are actually government schools. Would you say because the government haven't provided hostel fees, that is why we are seeing students paying exorbitant prices? Because assuming the school actually comes with a hostel fee, I don't think the prices will be that high, because the hostel facilities is actually a private owned, and the landlord, however he deems it fits that he's going to charge you, is what he will charge you.
Yeah, so in this instance, I think the government alone cannot do it, because looking at the student population, it keeps growing year by year. So the private people stepping in to help, it's a laudable idea. But the fact that you are helping does not mean you should also, put another burden on them, because you stepping in means you are taking some of the burden from the government. So if you are taking burden from the government, you don't need to add more to it. So I think this isn't something that should be by force, but it's something I think they themselves should look at in their own way. They should be kind enough to the student, because already paying school fees and other stuff is not enough, and there are many students who are catering for themselves, because maybe someone is in the university and they are the firstborn. There are 5 or 6 children behind them who the parents have to take care of. So if you step in that you want to help the government ease accommodation on the student, I think you should do it out of kindness, not because not out of excessive quest for money. So if you are doing it, then you must do it right. So the fact that you are helping is laudable, but the fact that doesn't also mean that you should use that one to gain a lot of money in a short instance. You understand? So that's what I think.
So, but they are talking about giving this hostel operators some sort of sanction. What sanction do you think that these hostel operators will be scared of that is going to, allow them to reduce the facility fees?
For that, I think let's wait for them to come out with that kind of sanction.
Right.
I think, yes.
But we actually have a law. Why do you think these laws are not actually enforced, especially when it comes to renting? Not just for hostel facilities, but it actually cuts across. Sometimes you go to rent an apartment and then the landlord tells you that I'm taking 2 years. And you ask yourself that, where are you going to get that money for?
So I think the reason why these laws are not really working is like the people mostly threaten the government. So imagine this government comes and they say, okay, so we are going to sanction all the house owners or something. And we have a lot of houses in Ghana, and all these houses have their owners. So imagine you go against all of them and they decide not to vote for you, which means so that thing alone brings some kind of fear in the government that if I do this, I'm losing their vote. So that kind of, so I think it shouldn't be more of aggression. It should be like a talk, like a sit down talk. You talk to them, you let them know the issues the people are facing and how they can help, instead of letting it be like by force they should do it. So I think they are the owners, they build the houses, but the fact that you are the owner also does not mean you have all the right to do anything, because the house you are having is on a land, and that land also is governed by someone, so you go by the rules of that land. So I think this shouldn't be, it's like more of like this hand scratches and this hand scratches. So it should be a sit down talk to talk, not really by going against them in aggression. I think it should be something we sit down, we talk about it, we find a final solution to it.
We are just hoping that these laws that we actually have beautiful laws when it comes to our country.
Yeah, but
it's actually sad.
Yeah,
very
because
sad.
imagine an NSS personnel, someone who is now going to work, and you are taking 2 years rent from them. So if the person is to pay 500 cedis a month, and you are taking two years, meaning they have to pay over 6,000 or so. Where are they going to get that money from? So some are now forced to look for where they work. They want it to be around. Meanwhile, you also need to go out there and explore the country, explore the world. But these things forces them to stay at one place. So I think the government needs to look at it, and the people too needs to be kind enough. The tenants, house owners needs to be kind enough to us. Yes.
That one aside, President John Dramani Mahama has proposed a law to criminalize sex for jobs. I don't know if you saw that in the news as well. So President Mahama says that government is considering a law. They are going to now set up a law. They're actually going to pass it, sex for jobs, as a criminal offense in Ghana. So he said this during a town hall meeting in Kufuor, and the president described the practice as unacceptable and an abuse of power. Sex for job, he says, is one when someone is in a position of authority and demands for a romantic or sexual relationship in exchange for giving a person a job. And I think that right here in our system or in our community, we've actually normalized this, which is so bad. And President John Dramani Mahama is saying that there's going to be a law to make this act a criminal offense. That means that if you are caught in it, you are going to face the law, or probably face jail. What do you think?
So I think this is a step in the right direction, because I don't know why you need to sleep with someone before you give them a job.
Exactly.
And this thing is really worrying our system, because imagine someone who is very smart, very smart. They know what they are about. They graduated with all the best grades, and this person comes to look for job, and the manager or the CEO wants to sleep with the person. If this person refuses, we will have someone probably who couldn't even complete his course come offer you free sex, then you give the job. So at the end of the day, it's slowest production, because the person who has been given the job knows nothing about the job. The one who could have done the job actually has been sent home because they refuse to open their legs for you. So if this is going to be something punishable by law, I think it is a step in the right direction. This thing has been going on since a very long time, and we end up putting square pegs in round holes in our environment, in our workspaces. So I think this is a long time coming, and it is a good idea that we must all commend the president for.
Someone may also say that this one day doesn't mean that we should actually go and pass a law. This is actually his life, his or her life, and the person says that, oh, okay, this is what I feel like doing with my body. This is what I feel like doing with my company. If you need a job, this is what you have to do. These are the conditions that are actually there that you have to comply by before you actually get a job. Shouldn't necessarily mean that we should actually pass a law where we have other laws that we deem is very like a priority for them to even pass.
Well, I think if it has to do with the private companies or something, then we leave the people to their conscience. But if it has to do with the public sector, I think that is punishable by law. It should be, because imagine let's say nurses. Imagine you have to go and sleep with someone before they post you, and you that you couldn't even graduate well, you that you couldn't even finish complete your course, you go and open your because you slept with someone, you get a job. And meanwhile, you don't know anything about it. You didn't really learn anything about it. But the one who actually has the expertise on it has to go home because they refuse to sleep with a person. So when that happens, you don't have any idea of what you are doing. You don't have any expertise. You are giving the job. So in that case, when someone is brought to the hospital in an emergency situation, you wouldn't even know what to do because you didn't learn the thing well. But the one who has the expertise on it is now staying home because they refuse to sleep with someone. So I think all these things, the one way or the other, affects us. So if it's going to be punishable by the law, I think that's a good idea. It's a laudable one that I applaud the president for.
Right. Yeah. Now, I think at this juncture, we are going to take the lead whilst we are going to take the lead as Mr. Samuel can join us. He's actually on his way, but wherever he meets us, he can actually come and join. So this actually has to do with the Bank of Ghana losses. And one question we keep asking is this a policy that is there to come and save us? So the Bank of Ghana 15 million Ghana cedis operating loss, cost of economic stabilization or policy strain? That is one question that we keep asking ourselves. So Ghana's economic recovery story is taking shape with inflation easing, the cedi showing signs of stability, and foreign reserves improving. Yet, behind this progress, the Central Bank of Ghana is actually making a huge loss. This progress lies major developments, and the Bank of Ghana has recorded a 15.63 billion Ghana cedis operating loss in 2025, raising critical questions about the cause of these gains. Is this a necessary sacrifice for the economy? That is one question we should be asking ourselves. Or does it point to deeper structure and policy challenges within the central bank? So today, that is what we are actually going to be looking at. Looking at the loss that Bank of Ghana has actually incurred, that is 15.63 billion Ghana cedis operating cost. And this cost was actually set to stabilize the cedi. Do you think not just to stabilize the cedi, but also stabilize the economy? Do you think that this is actually a sacrifice worth it?
Well, so the Bank of Ghana sees it's a sacrifice to stabilize the cedi.
Yeah.
And well, the question is, after the cedi being stabilized, is it reflecting in our lives? Because
you don't see it reflecting?
Oh, no. Because if you say the cedi has been stabilized, because and due to that you've incurred such a huge losses, and we still cannot see the effects of the cedi stabilization in our lives, in our daily lives, then I don't know the kind of sacrifices you made. Because you see inflation is down, the cedi the dollar to cedi is down and all that stuff, but day in day out prices of things keep rising. Fuel keep going up, every other thing. I mean, it's things are getting worse than how it was previously. So I don't know the kind of sacrifices they made, because if you made a sacrifice, it's supposed to improve us rather. But this sacrifice is rather pulling us down, and we are not even seeing any effect of the low inflation or something.
So would you say that this loss is as a result of policy? The policies they brought on board, or structural challenges?
You can see that, because you seeing is a sacrifice, but the sacrifice is not doing anything for us.
But at least we've seen our cedi being stabilized.
Yeah, cedi is being stabilized, but now we are buying pure at I think 1 cedi or so. Meanwhile, when the cedi was unstable, we were buying it lower than that. We were paying fees and other things less than that. But now that the cedi is stable, I think we are supposed to enjoy more. But it's like we are now suffering more rather than enjoying more. So I don't know the kind of sacrifice that they made. I think they should come and tell us the kind of sacrifice, because I don't see it.
But during your tenure, Bank of Ghana also made some losses of about 9 points, some figures also. What would you say about that one too, if you're saying that this sacrifice is actually not worth it?
During those times, we all know the circumstances around.
And what were those circumstances?
We all know that was when we were just fresh out of COVID-19 and a whole lot of stuff. I mean, even the world as a whole, the economy was not stable. Everybody was struggling. But now we have left the NDC with a recovering economy, because if you look at the loss we made, the next year it actually went down. The next year it went down. So you coming into power, and even during those times, these people were shouting, "Oh, when the MPP, all those stuff, Occupy BOG and stuff." So you come in, you were supposed to see some progress, but rather we are seeing a retrogress. You are taking us too back. So I don't know the kind of I don't know the kind of sacrifice they made. So they should come back and tell us more of, because I think there is more to it that they are not telling us. Because even if you look at the minorities report, it tells you that the loss they incurred is more than 15 billion.
It's more than 15
yes,
billion. So if it's not 15 billion, then how much is it?
I think it's per the report I've seen, it goes into 35 plus billion. Yeah.
Right, let's read this report. Okay. So this is actually a report from IERPP. A new policy review by the Institute of Economic Research and Public Policy has sounded the alarm on the financial health of the Bank of Ghana, flagging serious structural concerns. The report points to mounting losses, worsening negative equity, and rising policy costs that strengthen its long-term stability. In May 2026, presentation titled Critical Analysis of the 2025 Financial Statement, the Institute disclosed in its executive warning that the Bank of Ghana recorded a net loss of 15.63 billion Ghana cedis in 2025, a 64.7% increase from 2024. A 63% increase from 2024, a 64.7% increase from 2024. Negative equity now stands at 93.82 billion Ghana cedis. The report says the tone earlier stating that its analysis examines what the annual report does not say, before concluding that the financial position of the central bank reflects deeper structural weaknesses. The review of the bank's financial position reveals a widening imbalance between assets and liability, and according to the report, total liability stood at 333.5 billion Ghana cedis against total assets of 237.2 billion Ghana cedis. It states emphatically that total liability, which is 333.5 billion Ghana cedis, exceeds total assets of 237.2 billion Ghana cedis by 93.3 billion Ghana cedis. The central bank is technically insolvent by any standard commercial definition. The institute further described the 2025 annual report as presenting a deeply troubling picture of a central bank in sustained financial distress, adding that a critical reading reviews systemic failures, policy-induced losses, and a deteriorating balancing sheet. So that could also tell us that this loss could possibly be attributed to policy failures as well. That is why Bank of Ghana is actually seeing the loss that they are seeing as it stands now. But hearing from the minority, they are saying that you shouldn't politicize this issue. And we've seen the majority also, coming out to actually defend it, saying that when it comes to central bank there, we are bound to actually make losses. It's not like a bank actually set aside for us to, be making profit. But looking at the loss that Bank of Ghana has actually made, don't you think that we should be worried as Ghanaians?
Well, that's the worrying part. They keep saying we shouldn't politicize it, but immediately the report came out, the majority held a press conference, defending it. I don't know if they are the official spokesperson of the Bank of Ghana or not. But you see, when we say the bank is not set up to make profit, but definitely there will be losses. But the fact that there will be losses doesn't necessarily mean you incur any unnecessary losses. The losses must be reasonable, you understand? And even this, and back in 2022 when the BOG made losses, these are the same people who are saying we shouldn't politicize it. These are the same people who were on the streets, saying let's occupy BOG and other stuff, saying a lot of things. So a lot was said by them in opposition, which made Ghanaians believe them that they can do this. You come and in your almost first year, this is the kind of losses you are making. What are we expecting in the second, third, fourth years? Yeah, yes. So if you are shouting in opposition that we should, stone the governor then because they made losses, and now you come and you make the same losses, even worse than that, and you expect us to come and be clapping for you because you are not expected to make profit by you are there to make losses, so we should clap for you because you made this unnecessary loss. These losses that they are made, what are the factors? What can they say contributed to it? Because we don't know anything that contributed. At least the 60 billion losses they were claiming in 2022. We all knew the factors, we all knew the causes. But these are the same, these are the people who are in government incurring this kind of losses, and they are not even, giving us anything to say, oh, this is why. So I think this is an unnecessary, loss incurement.
Right, so this is actually from the majority. Okay. The majority in Parliament says the financial losses recorded by the Bank of Ghana do not mean the institution is broke. That is actually one thing that they want us to know. And this is from the MP for Menfi West, Eric Afo, who explained that the bank's negative equity is simply an accounting situation, not a sign of collapse. He says the central bank spent a lot of money to stabilize the economy, and that is why its books are showing losses. According to him, central banks are not like regular businesses that aim to make profits. Their main job is to control inflation, stabilize the currency, and keep the financial system working properly. The Bank of Ghana recorded a loss of about 15.63 billion Ghana cedis in 2025, with its negative equity increasing significantly. This has raised concerns among some groups and analysts. However, the majority argues that this is normal during periods when a central bank is working hard to control inflation and stabilize the economy as well. They also pointed out that the other major institutions like the European Central Bank, the United States Federal Reserve, and Reserve Bank of Australia have also recorded losses during similar periods of strict economic policies. Mr. Afo says the focus should not only be on the losses, but on the results that the losses have actually brought to us as a country, which he highlighted that inflation has dropped to a single digit, the cedi has become more stable, interest rates are easing, credit conditions are improving, and the economy is gradually recovering. And he added that while concerns about transparency and efficiency are valid, the bigger picture shows that the bank's policies are working. So in summary, what they are saying is that we shouldn't focus on the losses, but we should focus on the losses, on the results that the losses have actually brought. You and I can bet with that. We can see our inflation at a single digit.
Inflation, yes, I don't doubt that. Inflation is, but how is that one affecting us? How
so you think that this loss is just a waste of money?
Because you say inflation has gone down. So if inflation has gone down and I was buying this thing 1 cedi, I'm supposed to buy it maybe 80s or so. Or maybe inflation doesn't necessarily mean the price should go down, but it means it should grow at a lower pace. So if I'm buying this thing at 1 cedi, the next day, if there is going to be an increment, it's supposed to be maybe 1 cedi 20 pesos. But if the next day I go and it's 2 cedis, I mean the inflation is not affecting me. It's not showing in our everyday life. So the sacrifice or the results of the losses which you are saying brought down the inflation is very useless, because if this thing I'm still buying this thing, if I'm buying this thing once in the next day I go and I buy 2 cedis, what is the inflation doing to me? Because the market woman who sit there does not care about this big English. What she wants to see is the growth. So if she goes to maybe she goes to the market with 1,000 cedis and she can get 4 things, and you say the inflation is low, the next day she goes, she's supposed to get maybe 6 things or 7 things with it, but she goes and she still gets the same 4 things or even lesser than that with the same 1,000 cedis. Then it means the inflation, I mean, it's useless. The inflation being down is very useless to her, because she's supposed to see some improvement, but you risking all our money, incurring this kind of losses, thinking that you are stabilizing our economy, you are bringing inflation down, and still we are not seeing any benefit of the inflation, then I don't know what kind of sacrifice you made to bring the inflation down. I think you should have left the inflation at where it is, because
but we were actually suffering.
We are still suffering.
But you and I can bear. When last did you go to the market and you heard that the price of this particular goods has actually increased?
That's all time. That's everyday thing. People complain every day.
But barely per report. The reports I have, barely will you see anything of that sort, like the rapid increase in.
That's why prices. I said there is no the increase when inflation is down. The growth or the how increment of price are supposed to go should be slower. But this is the case where you go and it's even 2 times like it was, because I go to.
Are you sure?
Yes, I go to school from home, and during the MPP time, I was taking car from La Paz to Legon first, and I was being taken 6 cities. Now I take car. Now that inflation is down, petrol is supposed to be down, everything is supposed to be down. Now I go to La Paz, I take car from there to Legon, and I'm paying 7 cities. Some 7 cities 50%. So what kind of relief are you bringing us? Because the relief is rather increasing things instead of bringing the prices down. So I don't know the kind of, maybe in the world of the NDC, because I don't know, me, I'm in the world of the Ghanaians. In the world of the Ghanaians, prices are still high, we are still complaining, we are still suffering. So I don't know the world where the prices are going down. If there is such places, then you should let me know so that I go there soon.
I should let you know so that you go.
Because my world, we are still suffering, we are still
you
crying.
Go there too. So this is a report from the Bank of Ghana, and I'm reading from City. So they mentioned some of the pressures behind the losses. So the first factor responsible for the 2025 loss is the soaring cost of monetary policy implementation, particularly through open market operations, OMO. The central bank spent 16.73 billion Ghana cedis in 2025 to sterilize excess liquidity, almost double the estimated 8 to 9 billion Ghana cedis recorded the previous year. And this signals an aggressive effort to contain inflation and supports the cedi by withdrawing excess cash from financial system. However, such operations require the insurance of high yield instruments to commercial banks, effectively forcing the bank to pay a premium to enforce monetary discipline. So this is actually one of the pressures that actually cause the losses, which is monetary policy implementation, effectively forcing the bank to pay a premium to enforce the monetary discipline. Compounding this to the lingering impact of Ghana's domestic debt exchange program. While the restructuring helped restore fiscal sustainability, it significantly reduced returns on government securities held by the central bank. The result is structural imbalance, declining assets income alongside raising policy costs. The high interest rate environment has further amplified these pressures. Elevated rates increase the cost of borrowing and sterilization, creating a cycle in which the very tools used to stabilize the economy also deepen financial losses as well. So this story all has to do with recovering the economy, and this is actually where it has led us. Or you are still not convinced with the pressures that led to, to this.
So I mean, that the Bank of Ghana is let's see, the mother bank of all.
Yes. Yeah.
So the pressures, the factors that can go wrong, the things that can go wrong. So my problem is, since you knew all these things, when you were in opposition, you knew all these things. So when you were in opposition and the then governor came out to tell us about the kind of losses we made. Why were we casting insults and other stuff at him, calling him names as if he knew nothing about what he was doing? Meanwhile, you knew the governor now has been a banker for a very long time, so you knew all these things. Yet you were the one who led the let's occupy BOG, those kind of things. He led it. So right now, no, if yesterday wasn't good, why should we say it is good now today? Because yesterday we didn't pardon the governor then. Why do you think we should pardon you? And they're talking about losses. They refuse to talk about the G4R, the Baumia initiative, which also brought in about 40-something billion profit to us. They are not talking about that, but they only talk about the losses. If this G4R had not been in existence, the losses would have gone higher. The Bank of Ghana would have wrapped up by now. You understand? So when they talk about it, they should also appreciate Dr. Mahmoud Baumia for his policy.
Which of the policy?
The G4R. Yes, because that is what has sustained.
Is it a good for
reserves?
Good for reserves.
That's what has sustained the losses a bit, because it would have been worse than this.
So then again, the NPP wants to take credit for this as well.
I mean, it's not like we want to take it, but that's the truth. We are not taking it. That's the truth. But these people are refusing to, give credit where it's due. But we are not fighting for credit. We are just wishing that the economy will be stable for all of us, because if it goes wrong, we all suffer. If it goes right, we all enjoy.
So what next for the Bank of Ghana?
Well, I think they should stop the politicization. I think the bank is now acting as a political entity for the NDC. You understand? So they should be real with Ghanaians and stop these political games they are trying to play. Yes, and they should be truthful to Ghanaians about the losses. We are not going to kill them because they made a loss. We know the Bank of Ghana is not really a profit-oriented entity. Yes.
You mentioned that in as much as they've made losses and per what they've actually outlined, that what they had to do that made them run into the loss, such as the inflation, stabilizing the CD, and then all of that. And you're saying that you're actually not feeling it. Don't you think it would have been way worse if the government hadn't taken that step to do what they had to do?
Well, I think that depends on the kind of leader you have.
On the kind of
leader you have.
Lead.
Yes, the leader you have. Because I think even in opposition, Dr. Baumia's initiative is saving the economy. So imagine him as the president. We wouldn't have gone way worse than this. So I think the kind of leader you have. One thing about this government is they refuse to be real with the Ghanaians. They depend on sloganisms and these settings. So even when things are not going right, they refuse to tell you the truth. They find some sketchy ways to cover up for it. You understand? So I think being real with us, because we know what's going on inside. So you coming out to be real with us, at least, we are not going to kill you because you made losses. But you coming out, it cools down hearts. You understand? So I think it all depends on the kind of leader you have. When the leader is being real with you, at least you know the real thing. Say, oh, this is what we are. This is what is going on. So you know how to prepare for it. But when you have the kind of leadership that always covers it up with sloganism, about papa and all those kind of things, you are not being real with us. Yes.
So what could they have done?
Well, I'm not an expert on the economy issues, but
what could they have done if not to sacrifice for Ghanaians to be comfortable? What could they have done?
What could they have done? I mean, can you rephrase it a bit? I don't get the question.
Is there any recommendation we would have given to this government rather than pumping so much money to stabilize the CD and also reduce the inflation? Is there any recommendation you could have given to them?
Well, I don't know.
You don't
have
I'm not really any. What will be your last words on this particular issue? In the coming days, I believe there will be a new development on this issue. Experts are actually talking about it. And Ghana is not actually the first country to face such losses, just as the majority mentioned that U.S. Federal Reserve and the Bank of Australia, Reserve of Australia, is also facing the same issue.
So that's where the issue is. So I think about my recommendation, I would think we should wait on the experts for their find because they are now working on it. But what I would say is the government should, focus on real problems. They should focus on doing the real things instead of doing things that is of no priority to us, things that does not really really bring any benefit to us. Because looking at this government, I think a lot of money has gone into places that does not even bring any benefit to us. So they should look at the real problems on grounds and face it head on. And they should not be afraid of Ghanaians, because you see, these people by all means want to be in the goodwill of Ghanaians. So instead of facing the problem, they do skirmishes to for people to see you understand to see that they are working. That sloganism about Papa, that's what they are interested in. So instead of being interested in the slogans and all these things, I think they should face the problems head on, because we are not saying the economy is way better. When we were leaving office, we left a recovering economy, not a more like
a recovering economy.
Yes.
When you say a recovering economy, how would you explain that, or how would you define that?
I mean, we knew.
Are there any indicators? Are there any indicators that actually show that our economy was?
Oh yes, looking at how we were recovering from the losses we made in 2022, coming up, I think it wasn't the same as. Let me get it.
What were the losses you made in 2022? You mentioned.
It was, I think, 60 billion or so.
60 billion.
Yes.
And what attributed to that loss?
I mean, that's what I was saying, that COVID was part of it. This whole what was going on around the whole world was part of it. But we were recovering. So I think we made a loss of 60 billion in 2022 during all these crises, the COVID-19, the Iran something wars and other stuff. And coming up into 2023, we stepped up. We made, I think there was 19.2 billion, which means it went down very, very down. Coming to 2024, that was 9.4 billion loss. Yeah. So meaning we were stabilizing the economy. We didn't leave a completely crippled economy for the NDC as they want to portray. We left a recovering economy for them. But taking the loss back from 9.4 billion to 15 billion, that is, I mean, that is not something we should clap for, considering the noise they were making about them being there, knowing how to recover the economy. Ato is forcing and all those stuff. And if this is what Ato is forcing, then Ato is not forcing at all, because
but you've seen IMF also applauding how we've been able to recover our economy, or haven't you?
When was that?
Oh, IMF applauds Ato forcing for economy recovery. You haven't seen that?
No, please. Unless you show me, because I've not seen. I mean, there is no way IMF is going to applaud you if you take a loss from 9.4 billion to 15 billion in a year. I don't know how IMF will applaud you for.
So you are saying that you don't believe that. Right. So let me read it to you. Okay. So the International Monetary Fund and World Bank have commended Ghana's economic recovery, specifically highlighting the leadership of Finance Minister Dr. Kesalato Forson at the 2026 spring meetings. Under his leadership, the nation has seen a significant economic turnaround, with reforms achieving fiscal discipline and improved debt management. The World Bank praised Ghana's turnaround, noting significant progress in stabilizing the economy and recovering from a difficult 2025. The IMF and World Bank lauded the leadership for adhering to a disciplined strategy, which includes a 1.5% primary surplus legally and reduced debt to GDP ceiling. Dr. Kesalato Forson as finance minister was directly hailed by global officials for his stewardship during the 6th review of the extended credit facility programs. And the reforms mentioned include shrinking the government size, reducing the cost of government, and improving revenue management. And these reforms have resulted in reduced Eurobond yields and improved investor confidence, according to briefings from the 2026 IMF/World Bank meetings.
Well, then I think the IMF have not seen the loss yet. If they have seen the losses that Ato is forcing us, incur, they wouldn't have said what they said about him.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Sante. At this juncture, we are going to be moving into our second topic. NDC guest was actually supposed to join us, but unfortunately, I don't know if that is actually going to happen. So this actually has to do with political interference undermining local governance. So the president of the Chamber for Local Governance says political interference is a major problem affecting how local government works in Ghana. He believes too much control from central government is making it difficult for local assemblies to do their jobs very well. So according to him, metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies are supposed to make decisions and carry out development projects in their own communities. But in reality, right here in our country as it stands now, many of these decisions are still being made from Accra. There's a decentralization that in every district, in any part of the country you find yourself, you're actually supposed to make decisions for yourself on your own. That is the decentralization. But the reality they are facing as it stands now is that decisions are being still made here, as in the central, how do I put it? The capital is still made the central government, which is the capital, which is Accra. Whereas maybe when you're in Tamale, if you want to make decisions, you can actually make it on your own without, seeking the opinions of those in Accra, because you are in your district and you actually know what is happening. So that is the reality of it. And he cited an example that even though assemblies receive money through the district assemblies common fund, they often do not have full control over how the money is used. Some contracts for projects like school buildings and furniture are awarded from the central level instead of by the local assemblies. He says that this defeats the purpose of decentralization, which is meant to bring decision making closer to the people. He also pointed out that some assemblies are not doing enough to engage their communities, which is reducing public trust in local governance. He is therefore calling for reforms that will give assemblies more independency and improve how they operate so they can respond better to the needs of their communities and support development at the grassroots level. So this is it. When I say the political interference, what does that mean to you? The political interference in the local governance?
I mean, the president or the central government having a say in what
having a say, but is that how it's actually supposed to be?
Well, in most cases, yes.
In most cases,
yes. Which is
these
why
people are actually supposed to interfere in the local governance.
No, they are not. They are not supposed to do that. They are supposed to be the reps of the president or the government in their districts. So at least the government has a say in whatever goes on, but not completely. Which is why the SWA government, which is the Akufo-Addo government, made it a point to make some reforms so that the people can actually vote for their own MCs and DCs, but the then minority then fiercely disagreed with it. So I mean, yes, there was supposed to be an election. So when your people elect you, at least they have a say in whatever you do, because this one is based on appointment. And appointment, they normally don't heed to the city, they heed to whoever appointed them. But if you were elected by the citizens, at least you'll be kind enough to, listen to them because they put you there. Yeah. So I think the appointment of the MCs and DCs is also the cause of these things. Yes.
So you think that when it comes to the local level or the local governance, the community in which these people actually find themselves, they should actually elect these people, but not the president actually appointing them. So you think that is actually where the interference is coming from?
Yes.
Right. How does this actually affect their work?
Well, I mean, you are the DC or the MC. You live in the district or the municipality, so you know the problems they face because they tell you directly. So you know how best you can do it. But when there are order from above, telling you what to do, it makes you deviate, which means the people now begin to feel like you are not doing what they want for them, because this is what they want. They want schools, and the government is telling you go and do hospital. Yeah, I mean that is a misplaced priority. So the people now feels like you are not even working for them. You are not doing anything in their well-being.
So what then can we do better as a country so we actually leave these people to work independently?
Well, I think then we should adopt the Akufo-Addo reform they wanted to bring on, which was electing the MCs and DCs. Yes, because that would have been the best. But the then opposition who thinks everything should be about politics, fiercely disagree with it. They fiercely opposed, and we saw whatever they were doing in Parliament. So I think that's the cause of it. If we are to go back to that reform policy and elect our own MCs and DCs, at least they know that we put them there, so they do what we want for us, not what someone tells them to do. But now that it's based on appointment basis, someone appointed you and cannot go against the person.
Yes. Someone appointed you and that person cannot go against that. Well, he also cited an example that assemblies receive money through the district assemblies common fund, and they often do not have control over how the money is used. Some contracts for projects like school buildings and furnitures are awarded from the central level instead of by the local assemblies. Do you actually think that this is actually part of the reasons why we don't see proper infrastructures in some of our communities?
So yes, like I said, the DC or the MC, the one who lives with the people in the district or the municipality. So they know what's going on. They know what the people want.
Yeah.
But you, the central government, staying in Accra, who barely goes out, you barely go out to the grounds and to see whatever the people are wishing for. So if you allow the person who lives with the people to do whatever he or she thinks best for the people, if you allow them to, that will help. But when you sit somewhere and you're like, okay, there is a contract here, I need to give it to someone I know. So instead of building a school, you give the contract to some, because the person you know is maybe good at building hospitals. So you give the contract. I mean, it becomes a misplaced priority because you don't stay there.
Exactly,
the
a
MC,
misplaced priority.
Yes. So the DC who is there knows that these people need school rather than hospital. But because you think you have someone or someone you want to put on, so the person is into hospital building, you now give the contract of a hospital to that person. So you see that maybe there is a hospital there, you now go and build another hospital instead of a school. Yes.
It's something else. It's actually something else. Just as you mentioned, that it's a misplaced priority. That a fund that has actually been put into a constituency or in a local assembly that's actually been put in charge of to make sure that developmental projects takes place in those communities. They don't actually have full use of the money, and they are not able to even use the money for. Do you think that is because the government is actually scared that these people are actually going to misuse the money? That is why they don't give them full control?
Well, I think that is why the public accounting committee is there. So
to monitor.
So whatever they do with the money, you don't stress of it. The public account committee will, I think every year they go there to account for whatever they use the money for. So if I've been given the money to build hospital and I don't do it, you don't have to worry. I'll go and meet the public account committee. They will question me on what I use the money for. Why did I not use the money for this and that? So I think there is no fear in that. I think it's just this political show of power that's happening. Nothing else.
Yes. But even these people, when they misuse the money and they are before the public accounts committee, after all the evaluation and everything, they end up going scot-free. They are not being punished.
So I think that's where we need to look at how to make the laws work effectively, because there've been a lot of people who've been to the public account committee with
and they've embezzled a lot of money.
So I think that's where we need to look at rather than interfering in there. So you give them the space to work. If they deliver, you applaud them. If they don't and they deserve some punishment, then you give it to them. That is what I think we should do instead of politically interfering
in their work.
When you do that, you store them. You don't let them do what they think is best for the community, but you think they do what you think, not what they think is best for the community. But they are closer to the people, so I think they are the reps of the government in that place, so they know what is good. So when you do that, it actually affects the main government as well, because if I want a hospital and I don't get it, I'll attribute it to the main the party or whichever is in power. Like, NAPW, but MPP and NDC and so I think we should allow the MCs and the DCs to work and do what they think is best for the people, because they are closer to them.
So what can we do better as a country to strengthen our local governance? What can we do as a country to strengthen our local governance?
I think we should put in place proper structures. That's all we need. And how to enforce the laws.
How to enforce the law. We don't want party for the boys.
No,
we're actually looking at people who are competent enough to work, actually lead those positions.
Because we do this party just for the boy, we end up putting wrong holes in round specs or something.
In round specs. Right. It's been an interesting conversation right here on the GhanaTalks Breakfast Show. We have Mr. Collins Asante actually right here in the studio with us. We're almost wrapping up. Mr. Asante, is there anything you want to say before we leave?
Well, so what I would say to Ghanaians is looking at how things are going. I think this government is overwhelmed and they don't know what they are about at this stage, because looking at how everybody is crying, teachers are crying that 15 months they are not being paid. And actually, this is the first time in Ghana that a teacher is crying and saying that, they regret choosing their profession, because from primary all the way to where I am now, every teacher have passed through their hands, they are happy about the job. But this is the first time in this government that a teacher is, saying publicly that they regret choosing their profession. So I think looking at all these things, cocoa farmers are crying, nurses are crying, but in the MPP's time, it wasn't like this. So I think they should look at their livelihood to consider who becomes the next leader in 2028. And that, I believe, is Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, inshallah.
Inshallah. Yes. Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Collins Asante.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us on the GhanaTalks Breakfast Show. We had a very interesting conversation right here in the studios. Thank you so much for joining us. Unfortunately, the NDC communications team member couldn't join us, but I believe that, God willing, tomorrow we are going to have all the communicators on board, and it's going to be very interactive and very educative. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll meet same time tomorrow. Do have a lovely day.